quick take. Colts owner Jim Irsay announced yesterday on Twitter that his team interviewed Chiefs OC Eric Bieniemy for their head coaching job. Stephen A., what's your reaction to this news?
Well, my initial reaction to this news is I'm happy that Eric Bieniemy is getting interviewed. He deserves a shot to be a head coach in this league. My second reaction is, thank God it isn't the Houston Texans, because we know how they treat African American coaches. David Culley and Lovie Smith being the two most recent examples. I think that we should all be on notice as African Americans what's transpiring with the Houston Texans organization and GM Nick Caserio, who should fire himself. He should have been gone. Number three, I'm not that enamored with the Indianapolis coach job because since Andrew Luck departed and decided to step away from the game, it's been a mess. And, I know that Frank Reich got him steered in the right direction to some degree before things fell apart this season. And I guess, they've got some potential. Jonathan Taylor's there. They've got some studs on the defensive side of the ball as well. Maybe Eric Bieniemy can find a quarterback. I hope he gets the job. I hope he gets offered the head coaching job. It's not the greatest job in the world in my estimation. But when you're black, particularly when you're Eric Bieniemy, who's long deserved a shot, you got to take these opportunities, unfortunately, when they're presented to you.
All right, it is time for Molly's Deal. Wildcard weekend kicks off.
Progressive Insurance. Good morning, Key.
Morning, buddy. How you doing there? You look great.
Oh,
you look
too.
fresh.
See, look at this. Look at this. Look what I got. What the Giants sent me. Oh,
All
away
right.
with little Giants insignia. That's right. All the Giants fans are wearing it today.
Yeah, that's kind of like some New York My Way, the whole deal. I know what they did. They just changed it to Our Way instead of My Way. Got it.
It's a team
Somebody
sport.
came up with some marketing PR genius.
Yeah, you know it would be great. It would catch on like wildfire. Anyway, Jay not here today. He's so offended by the fact that Key has called him Jay Bob recently that he refused to do the show today to teach us a lesson, and we'll see if the lesson is learned.
He should be happy I acknowledged him as Jay Bob.
It's Jay Bob. Where'd you even get that? Jay Bob. Sitting there just thinking of ways cause trouble.
Oh, God. Don't start that. You make it seem like I'm walking down the street breaking windows and just want to hear the alarm go off. I don't really want to go inside. I just want to break the windows.
That's not a bad analogy, actually.
Oh, God.
So listen, Key, big playoff week. What happened to this season? Where did it go, man? It went fast.
That I was just, as we were coming in and I was listening to the music and the highlights and the playoff, this is the time I miss playing football. It's during this time of year, playoffs, anticipation and get ready to go, and even when this is the fun time for me to watch the playoffs. Regular season's cool because you get a chance to see a whole deal unfold. But when you get to the playoffs, guys are one and done. Like it's over with. You lose, you start, now you got to plan your trip and see if I'm going to go to Hawaii. Am I going to go to the Super Bowl? Well, I don't want to go to the Super Bowl because we lost in the wild card, man. I ain't going to hang out and party. I'm going to go to Mexico and chill. I'll watch it at home. You start that whole process is fun to watch unfold.
And for the fans, it's March Madness in a way because you really can get Cinderella. You can't have a Cinderella team in the NBA. Because you got best of 7 series the whole way. Like, they're gonna find out. It's not like a team's gonna get lucky one night and then they're gonna advance. You gotta win 4.
Most Cinderella teams in the NBA lose. Like when I say Cinderella, like the Indiana Pacers, they all of a sudden on a run and they get to the championship. He's like, they're going to lose because they're playing the best team in the West.
Right, can't do it.
Or a Cinderella team in the West plays the best team in the East and they're going to lose.
You ain't going to beat them 4 games. You might beat them once or twice. You ain't going to beat them 4 out of 7. But in the NFL, you really might get a Cinderella team. Like the Giants, when they beat the Patriots, that was Cinderella, man. They can't beat the undefeated Patriots. It's ridiculous. But you win 1, you advance. You win 1, you advance. New team each time. It has all the elements of March Madness wrapped up in a pro sports season. All right, Key, it is time for Take Your Pick.
You've got questions, and we've got options. Take your pick.
Okay. Seattle at San Francisco. No, you're putting on your headset like you're doing this.
No, I just want to make sure I can hear you well.
Seattle at San Francisco, Key. Who do you like?
I'm taking San Francisco. although I like Seattle, I'm not stupid, right? I mean, San Francisco, Deebo Samuel back in the fold. You know, Brock Purdy's doing exactly what I said he was doing several weeks ago, what he was going to do. And Christian McCaffrey is just a difference maker. Once they traded for Christian McCaffrey and Christian McCaffrey made the decision to go to San Francisco instead of the Los Angeles Rams, this was a totally different offense before him, and it's a totally different offense with him now. So the defensive side of the ball speaks for itself. I like Seattle, but I just don't think they have enough.
Yeah, and San Francisco's, of course, favored, and they've won 10 in a row. But, Key, I got to tell you, and I agree about the McCaffrey thing. To me, they've been chugging along at a very high level, the Niners, when they're healthy. And guys like Deebo and Kittle are excellent players, but they never had one of those unanswerable, fast, twitchy playmaker-type dudes. And when they got CMC, now you add that, it puts them over the top. But, Key, I think this is the worst draw for them in the first round. Like, if I'm the rest of the NFC and I'm worried about San Francisco, I'm looking at Seattle like, ooh, these guys might be getting ready to play traffic cop over here.
You know, maybe. It just all depends on the way Geno Smith responds and plays. It's going to all depend on him because defensively on the outside perimeter for them, Diamador Lenore and company and that secondary is a different young bunch of wild dogs that go and hunt. And they're solid and sound, and they don't blow coverages. And if they blow a coverage, they fix it the next time around. You remember when they played the Miami Dolphins, Miami, boom, I think it was like the first, second play of the game to the house call. After that, no mas.
Right.
No more because they went, DeMeco Ryans and company went to that sideline. They got the board. They figured it out, and they said, not again. Let's do our job and our responsibilities. And so it's going to be up to the Lockett's and DK Metcalf to learn how to separate and get open against this solid, sound secondary with that front.
Next up.
Chargers at Jaguars.
Key, the Chargers, like, it's year 3. Herbert's in the playoffs, as anticipated, and, boy, it would have been a problem if he wasn't. Chargers are favored by 1.5. Total, the over-under is 47.5. As you can see on the money line, Chargers minus $1.35 and Jacksonville plus $1.15. I mean, that's pretty close to even odds. But Key, I gotta say, man, to me, you got some pressure on you if you're Justin Herbert because you went, what was it, 6th overall, and the number 1 guy in the draft a couple years later starts off slowly. Maybe he could wind up being like Justin Herbert one day. But it looks like that day has come last, 6-7 weeks of the season. And he's on a team that believes in itself, and the Chargers going to charge her, right? Like, to me, there is a lot on the line, and underneath it a little like, ooh, what if they pull the rug out from under these guys in Los Angeles? Who do you like in that game?
I'm taking Jacksonville. I'm taking the Jaguars in this particular game. They're at home. Okay, the crowd in Duval is going to be jacked up and ready to go. They've gotten their playoff experience out of the way, which was last week against Tennessee. So they got that first playoff experience out of the way, even though it was a regular season in Week 18. You treated that like the wild card game, so to speak, because you were one and done. Either you win and you go in, or you lose and you go home. Now they feel good. They have confidence. I don't trust Brandon Staley, nor do I trust the defensive side of the ball nearly as much as other people for the Chargers. Brandon Staley, talk about Justin Herbert on the hot seat. Brandon Staley's got to be not sleeping at all this week going into Jacksonville, knowing that there's other coaches sitting there eyeballing the opportunity if that thing opens up and he makes the wrong move. I just don't like some of the things that he's done throughout the course of his tenure with the Chargers. In particular, last week, playing starters like Mike Williams, getting a back injury. Now you got to see if he's going to be able to play. He didn't even practice yesterday. Mm-hmm. So now you're like, oh, this dude here, man, you hurting your own team by doing certain things and making mistakes. So, it's going to be interesting to see. And I've been around you now for a year, radio or whatever, and it's all about the germ spreading and causing the controversy. So, imagine if they lose, though. Imagine if the Chargers lose, Max.
Meantime, just real quick, Doug Peterson. He did it in Philadelphia. They won a Super Bowl, never happened before. He goes to Jacksonville, the most toxic, worst situation in the – boom, 1 year. They're hosting a playoff game as a pretty good coach right there. Next up.
Dolphins at Bills.
All right, Key. Like, do we even need to talk about this?
Yeah, Pat jumped in my ear and said speed up, so it's easy on this one, right? Buffalo. Taking the Bills. You can't go into Buffalo with a third-string quarterback and think you're going to win against a team on a mission.
This would be a monumental upset in the cold weather, traveling. They haven't done well in either recently, and now they don't have Tua. And the Bills are rallying around DeMar Hamlin. Anyway, we're the preseason pick for most people and the favorites. Bills all day. Next up.
Giants at Vikings.
Oh, I love this game. Key, the Giants weren't sniffing the playoffs last year.